Hi guys, welcome back. So I want to talk about 5 positives that England can take away from their tour to Australia. In all the reports I've done on the games, I've touched on a number of issues that England need to improve on, and I stand by those, but there definitely are some big positives that England can take away. Let me know what your positives would be as well. These are my top 5. Number 1 is mental resilience. To win under pressure is everything, especially when you want to win big competitions like the World Cup. And pressure came from all sorts of directions in this tour. Australia's running attack was really strong. So much threat from the likes of Corambetti, top draw threat to deal with, which they did. It went to 1-1. It was a decider, so that's more pressure. It was away, you had the crowd, you had media criticism, maybe rightly so sometimes, maybe too harsh sometimes, but still you have to deal with it, which is all good practice. And no matter what the official line is, they know their game's not quite there yet, so there's pressure from that. And in spite of all this, I didn't detect any heads dropping, I didn't detect dissent in the camp. And actually sometimes that siege mentality, that them against us, is actually a really useful tool for building a team. Number 2, individual performances. There were some good performances from the England players. Ellis Genge was very strong in the set piece. His leadership has definitely stepped up since his time at Leicester. He was also England's most explosive ball carrier, and before the tour I said, look, this is his tour to step up, and he really delivered, so well done to him. His big bumps on the likes of Karevi and Tupu would definitely go down in the highlight reel. Will Stewart, on the other side of the scrum, had huge pressure as England's number 1 tight head on tour with no Kyle Sinclair. Hayes is very young, so he really needed to step up, and he did. He did his hard yards, he did his simple job, and we also saw some nice passes. So it looks like he's a bit more of a complete player than maybe sometimes we thought. So that's brilliant for him. And when Sinclair comes back, there's a real challenge there for tight head. That was massive for England. They needed that. Let's talk about the captain, Courtney Laws. He's been one of England's most consistent forwards for a long time now. And he was an existing player when Eddie Jones came in, and Eddie Jones has challenged him, said you need to be a better all-rounder with your carrying, with your passing, and he's done exactly that, and he's really paying dividends now. He's a bit older, but he doesn't seem to be dropping off in the athletic stakes, so really good news for England there with Courtney Laws. Then on to a youngster, Jack van Poortvliet. Now, I had said before the tour I thought he had the all-round game for the international scene, but you don't know till he plays. And he just looks unfazed. We've seen it for under-20s, we've seen it for Leicester Tigers, but we saw it here. Plus, I think he's got the physicality as well for international rugby, so that's a big tick in England's scrum half box. Another couple of players that look pretty good. Tommy Freeman in that last test finally got the ball in his hands. Maybe we'll see him at 15 a bit as well as Freddie Stewart's, number 2. Maybe we'll see him in the centres, who knows, but he's definitely got a lot about him. And talking of Freddie Stewart, I thought he did really well. He's the Chris Jericho of rugby, if you like your WWE. He's the best in the world at what he does. His high ball and positioning work is excellent, and they used him to that effect in attack as well. On to number 3, leadership and social cohesion. Now, there's been a new captain of England, Courtney Laws. Farrell obviously hasn't liked it, but you wouldn't expect him to. Now, what Laws gives you is he leads by example. He's fairly quiet, if you like, but he's not afraid to voice his own opinion. If you followed him on social media, you know this. Eddie Jones could be an intimidating character, but Courtney Laws is someone who could definitely step up to him and say if something's gone wrong. Maybe that's happened before, we don't know. Similar to like Delalio and the experienced players did in 07 to Ashton, the coach at the time, turn things around. Plus, you still got Farrell in the background, and you've got the likes of Ellis Genge who has stepped up as a leader. So definitely the leadership seemed to work very well. England never dropped their heads. They kept going even when they weren't playing at their best. And on to the social cohesion part of that point. Now, players have been reporting for a while now that off the pitch, they're tighter than they've ever been. Now, players always say things are good in camp, but it seems very genuine in this England squad. They do like each other. They get on, like I said, better than they have done in the past. That social cohesion is secondary to the task cohesion of what they're trying to do, but if you can have both, that is a bonus. On to number 4, a simple but vital point, defence. All successful international teams need a great defence. England's no exception, and their best wins of recent times have come through great defence. Let's think of their 3-0 victory against Australia last time on tour, and their World Cup semi-final victory against New Zealand, built on top defence. And in the last test especially, the English defence stepped up massively. It was wave after wave of Australian runners. It really left Australia scratching their heads thinking, what else could we have done? The big hits poured in as well, especially from the forwards, and that comes on to point 5, the pack. The majority of England's issues were in the backs, but not really so in the forwards. The scrum and the line-out had come under a bit of fire in the Six Nations, but they functioned pretty well. Proudfoot, Cockerell will be happy with their work, definitely. They cope well with losses to key players as well. Curry, Itoje, Underhill, Dombrandt didn't even play, so they were big losses and England coped in the pack. Huge carries, some defensive hits, some nice turnovers. Yeah, it was decent stuff. I think maybe they'll want to add a little bit of interplay as well, but it looks like the basis of the pack is World Cup ready. So that's my top 5 positives that England can take away from this tour. Which positives would you put in there that I've missed? Pop all the comments below, and I'll catch you next time.